Are you in there? All right, we're going to get going. My name is Brian Anthony with Sage, specifically the SCPC product, the Construction Project Center. So today we're going to go over all the things that you'll be utilizing in the system, how to get on, just the layout, all that good stuff. Hopefully you have some questions. As far as my background, I was in construction for about 20 years. I've been with this company for almost 2 years now. Residential high-rise, mainly I did design build for DoD work, and then the last 4 years I did construction for the theme parks actually out here, fabricator installer. So yeah, if you have any real-life questions, hopefully I'll be able to answer them. And tomorrow, Tina and Brian, myself, will be going through and fine-tuning the way the jobs are set up, just to make sure that everything looks how you guys expect it to look. So Sage CPC, I know it's a little bit small up there. I don't know for the guys, did you hit record yet? On the recording, so I'm trying to find my mouse. It's sagecpc.com. If you don't know your login, I'm assuming send it to Brian. Brian will give you the login and password. When you do log in, you should have the availability to find a couple projects, at least one. The Magnolia and Adams one is the one I'm going to be using. Everyone should have that in their drop down when we go there. So I'm going to go over a couple things first as far as housekeeping goes, make your life a little bit easier. So in the upper right, there's a My Profile. Under My Profile, I would typically recommend that people set that to user preferences being the last place visited. So under here, user preferences, this is where you will come back into the site if you should log out and come back in. You can obviously choose a specific project if that makes sense for you, or go to your tasks or what have you, but last site visited is typically what I would recommend. If you need to change your password, you can always change your password using this tab here. You can do your own little hint and all that type of good stuff. So if you do need to change your password, that's where you find that. Again, that's under My Profile when you first log in. This is 100% cloud-based, so as long as you have access to the internet and a browser, you should be able to access this information. Tablet, mobile, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter which browser. As I was talking to Brian and Tina earlier, browsers completely up to you. Just a couple things that you might want to note. If you're trying to print something out and it's just not printing, there will probably be a little red X up in the upper right corner of the browser. It means you have the pop-up blocker on. So make sure that your pop-up blockers are off. Accept it for that. So if you don't see something come up that you would expect, that's most likely the cause. Firefox or Chrome I use. I tend to see Firefox being the quickest to load. Chrome would probably be the next one. As I was telling these guys, Chrome changes their security most often. So just be aware of that. If you ever have issues, I'm going to distribute to everybody the contact number for a support team. They're open from 8 to 8 Eastern. So you can always contact them there. All right, so a couple of things on their site layout. Far left, projects. You will only see projects that you are invited to. So I'm actually logged in as Savant PM, which is a role that we've created. Everyone should have the same view as me because I just gave everyone in Magnolia the same permissions as I have as I'm logged in now. So you'll only see the projects that you're a part of. We have a video learning here in the middle. If you should get stumped and you don't remember the number or an email address to contact, you can click on the video learning. We have probably about 50 different videos as it's loading here. 2-3 minute videos on the left, longer ones on the right side. So it'll help you out if you need something with how to do a daily log or an RFI submittal, what have you. Actually, I want that to load so you can see it. Your internet might be slowing down now that everyone's on it. All right, continuing across, contact us, real generic input form that'll send to our support. We utilize this system called FreshS for all our tickets. You can call, you can email. The email is support@sagecpc.com. If you do any of that, our support team will make a ticket for you so you can track it, they'll track it, and you'll get all that type of update. By the way, the video learning uploaded here in the other tab. So here's what it looks like. Topics are all listed here. You click on there, it's a YouTube video. If you're interested, you may have been receiving emails about every third week about a more in-depth learning seminar. I do those every third week, and so they're over here. This past, actually, I think it's this Friday. It's going to be about the new things that we released this past quarter and what we're looking to release the next. So those are the upper bars. On the left side here, this will be a listing of all the projects. So over the years, if you start getting a lot of projects, they will be listed under the company Savant, and you have the ability to make your favorites here on the left side. And how you do that is when the ladder will load, it's going to give you the option of having a little star and check marking that star. And if you do that, that will bring that up into the My Projects. So for the most part, that's how this is all laid out. Typically to find projects, I would go under the projects and just select the one that you specifically want to go to. So when I click Magnolia, it's going to take me to Magnolia. To get the most real estate, I will typically undo this little punch pin here. You can always bring it back by clicking on the taskbar, but that gives you the most room out on the screen. So you'll see this is what has been decided to look at this moment. And I'm going to go over these in general, and then we'll go through each one specifically. So cost management, estimate what your estimate or budget is for the job. Contract info, what your schedule of values between you and the owner is going to be. Your commitments that are on the project, purchase orders and or subcontracts. Summary info is going to give you a quick breakdown of financial status. And over here we have contract events, which would be change orders to your owner. And then on the far right side, we have commitment events, which would be between you and your subcontractors. So change orders between you and your subcontractors. So that's in cost management. And again, you guys are not going to be responsible for inputting any of this information. This is really just for you to be knowledgeable about what's going on. I want to mute some people.
Yeah, if you're on the call, make sure you're muting your phone, please.
The next one down is project management. Open issues. Think about an open issue would be between an RFI and a punch list. It's just something you want to track. So it could be favors out in the site. You are also going to be putting work orders in here. In the middle, that says submittals. These will be the listing of submittals. Again, you're not going to be inputting the submittals. This will be just so you know the statuses and where everything's at. We have meeting minutes. We are going to be inputting. daily logs, same thing, and then on the far left, RFIs. We'll be covering the mobile app. I have my iPad out here, which I'll repeat out to the screen. And so you can do RFIs, daily logs, and punch lists from the mobile app if need be. You can also read anything within the document center. One down here, reports, activity log. We track everything that's done in the system. So if you ever need to go back and prove out anything, you can do that through the activity log. Reports are logs. So submittals, RFIs, these would be your logs, your listing of all the deals that are on there. And then the last one, which we're going to probably talk about tomorrow inside the team, are documents. If you should so choose to use the plans, specs, and general and photos, using the mobile device, you can also bring those up on your mobile device or see them in here. So we're not sure if we put them there yet. Using the mobile, correct? Yeah. But Brian pointed out, on the mobile, you can mark up and email those markups from the document section if need be. All right, so this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go through each one of these little links here. If you have any questions, please bring them up and we'll cover them. And we're actually going to start in the open issues. Probably the most basic thing that we have. One thing that you'll notice when we get into the open issues is that we're folder driven. What that means is that you can create a folder to organize. We have set up a template, so every project is set up the exact same within the system. Yeah, this is really slowed down.
No, it isn't.
Yeah. All right. So you can see we have two general photos in here. We have general issues and work orders. These are only folders, so they aren't going to look different once we start creating the issues. They're just containers or literally folders to put things in. So if you have work orders, you put them in the work order folder. If you have something you just want to generally track, you can do that. If there's something that starts happening or you want just to name another folder to hold your own personal ones, you can make a new folder, call it personal, and just log all your own issues in there. So I'm going to go into the first one, general issues. I have one in there. You can see how many are open, how many are closed just from out here. These numbers next to the folders tell you how many things are within that specific folder. We're going to go into the general issues. We're going to wait for it to download. All right, so this would be a listing of one-to-many issues. This is the first one. I haven't done any more. Actually, I'm going to create a new one. So to create, it will typically be up in the upper left. It'll be a new issue, new RFI, new submittal will always be located in the same place. So when you click new issues, that's going to bring up the next form or the input field for the issue. Again, an issue is just anything you want to track, and we'll kind of go through it here in a second. So the from automatically fills in with you when you log in. The to, what this is going to do after we save it or update it, it's going to send an email, whoever is the to person, this specific issue with the link to get into it. The reason why issues are nice is that it allows you to track all of the things that go on with it. Again, if you're doing favors, you can just keep all one favor, just make one for a company, and list all the favors down there. If you want to back and forth reviewing your schedule, you can just do one like for your schedule, and whoever creates that, go back and forth with discussing that. At a minimum, all you need is a to and a subject. Please look at this. I'm just going to copy the subject and put it into the question, but that is all I need at this point to create this issue. Throughout the site, things on the left side will be the mandatory items. On the right side will be completely optional. So just be aware of that as you're going through it. So I'm really done with this issue. It allows, I think I assigned Brian to it, to answer and come down here. And so why I started here is because there's a couple things that are going to be throughout the site. One is this discussion and reply section. This is going to track who says what, when they said it, and what they said. So if you come back to this project a year from now, you'll remember when you did what you did. This is going to keep all of that here. So look at this. And I'm going to hit send reply. And when I do that, whoever's in the to box would receive an email so they know that I put some type of discussion question. In the real world, if you are tracking something like, I don't know, someone kicked a hole in the wall, you could take a picture of it, attach it to this, assign someone to the to, and then they can say, hey, it's fixed. and you go check it out and you say confirmed fixed, and then you can close it out like that. That'd be one way to use discussions here, but you can see who said it, what the date was, and what was sent there. And again, that you'll see that in RFIs as well. Coming down, we have a drag and drop. That'll allow you to drag and drop anything into this specific issue. If you're looking at schedules and you just want to go back and forth and have all those different iterations of it, you can certainly do that. If you're in the mobile, issues aren't in the mobile just yet. They should be fairly soon. It will be similar to RFIs and daily logs. If you take pictures, they'll all be appended to this specific thing. Since I use the drag and drop, it's going to be similar throughout the site. Submittals, RFIs that you drag, whatever you want, and then you hit upload, and that will attach the file to the specific thing. The whole point of people going to a system like this, the cloud-based, is that everything's contained in one spot. Everything about this specific issue is also in one spot, so you don't have to look at the server, a couple people's emails, and all that stuff. Everything is here. So I can see what the question was, what the discussion was, and then I can also see the attachment down here that I just uploaded. Last thing to know that's similar throughout the site is the CC users. It's just like an email. If I hit the blue button over here, that's going to bring up a listing that I can add people to this. So RFIs, submittal, here, this would be people that are not directly responsible, but you want them to know what's going on. So they'll be able to get emails whenever there's a discussion or if the status changes, they'll get an email. So you can add one-to-many people onto this specific issue if need be. And you just hit close and add, and that close and adds that specific person to that CC listing. So that's an issue. Now I'm going to go back out and create a work order, and you'll see it's exactly the same. So I'm going to come all the way up here. These are breadcrumbs at the upper left. This is a way to get back and around. Since it is a browser, I could click back, but as I hit save, it's going to go through each step that I've taken to get here. This is just a quicker way to do it. If I just click on home, that'll take me to this home page. If I wanted to just go to the open issues, you can see there's project management, so that'd take me back to the project management. Now if I go into work orders, you'll see this breadcrumb start to build out. So if I just want to go right back to open issues, I just click it here versus where I did the first time all the way back at home. All right, so we're in open issues, work orders. So this is where you guys are going to be logging your work orders. I have two in here just to show you the difference. So number one is where you have input a work order. You can see it's a sample work order number one. This one has already been tied to a potential change order. This is something that accounting will do. I just wanted to show you what it looks like once it is tied to that. But you see all the input is exactly the same. It's the same fields in the reply and discussion. This would be the approval process. They told me to do this. Today they approved it, so now you'll have that date, a recording of everything that happened when they first said it and then when it actually goes through. So the reason I did two is here, you see the one has a potential change order number one. I'll click the back just to show you there's different ways to get to it. And if I go to number two, this would be as though you just entered this work order and it has yet to have accounting create a purchase order from it. Excuse me, a potential change order. They just click this button here and that will then select the next potential change order. So when you're looking at these issues, this is where you'll be able to see if the potential change order has been created or not.
So guys, we just want to point out that this screen right here is what will be replacing your Word docs that you're now using for your work orders. So what this is going to do is that your PM or you as the super can go in here and create a work order, and then the next person that goes and create a work order is going to create numbers for every single work order. That way there's record in every job of every work order that has come up, okay? And that's going to be for field changes, that's going to be for internal issues, that's going to be for plan changes. Every change is going to start with this work order, okay? You have the ability to upload photos that are tied to these work orders. You can also attach RFIs. You download the PDF of the RFI with the response, you attach it to the work order. That way we have all the backup that we need when we're doing these changes.
And again, in order to attach anything, it's down at the bottom. you can drag and drop it off of your desktop. Just drag it here, and you can put a description above it. So everything is part of this specific item. So that makes sense. Where to get to it, what it's used for, open issues under project management, and then you just create it in the folder work orders or open issues or general issues, excuse me. All right, so the next one, I'll just go right below it to RFIs.
A quick question. On the attachments.
Yeah.
Right now, it's only accepting PDFs. Will it always be that way?
It's accepting anything with the bound copy. So if you print with attachments, it's only binding PDFs to that bound PDF. But you can put docs in there. You can put any file type. It's if you're to print out with attachments, it's only attaching the PDF.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. We had about a month and a half ago, someone inadvertently uploaded something that wasn't a PDF, and it tried to create a virus in the system. So we locked that down for a little bit.
But if I upload a backup, it's a Word document, and send it to Tina for something, she'll be able to get it off.
Yeah, it'll all be in here.
Okay.
Yep. Because y'all have access to.
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah. All right. So those are issues. We're going to go to RFIs. RFIs, y'all know what this is. You have this on RFIs folder. I put 2 in here. Create a new one. Create a new one. You click on new RFI. It's the same place that you would create a new issue.
Okay.
It's going to pick the next number automatically. This is going to be number 3. The from is here. When the job is being set up and we can cover this, this can automatically be filled in with the architect. We'll come down here and I'll pick Brian. All right, same thing with issues as RFIs. All you need is a subject and a question. So please answer this. I'm just going to copy that subject. We're going to scroll down and then we'll go through each field here in a sec. Okay, put a question in there, and that's good to go. So if it's a very basic question, but it's still important for the architect or engineer to answer, that's all you need. And if you hit transmit, that emails it out to whoever's in the 2 box. If you have CC people, just like the issue, they will also get an email whenever there's an update, either in the notification or the status. So Brian, I'm going to transmit this to you, so if you could answer it while I'm going through all the other fields, that would be good. Okay. All right.
What is it?
This is going to be emailed out of the system. Just touching on the email.
We're in the seminar, right?
We send all the emails out of our system for a couple of reasons. Number 1, again, you don't have multiple places to look for all of the correspondence that are tied to it. Number 2, we track the email and take a picture of it, when it was sent, who it was sent to. And then number 3, we can also see when they respond to it and if they've actually opened it up or not. So you should just receive number 3. I'm going to go back into it and just explain the other ones. So statuses, open, closed, the reasons and the requested things here, the jobs can have specific drop downs. So if you come to a job where you want to customize the reasons, the requested, this holds true in the meeting minutes too. A lot of our drop downs are customizable. You find that in list management, you're probably gonna have to call Tina, tell her that you want something added or taken away from that, but just know that a lot of our drop downs are customizable. So these reasons are pre-populated, but you can always switch them if need be. On your mobile device, when you're opening these up, you'll see that all the same fields are available there. The date submitted is when I hit transmit. The date due is automatically calculated off the project defaults, which is right now 5 days. Whenever I hit transmit, plus 5 business days is when the date due is automatically calculated. Again, right side is optional. I don't have to touch this if I don't want. I'll show you from the mobile device. You can create an RFI from the drawing. If you do that, the drawing number and detail is automatically filled in, and the drawing is appended to the RFI.
So you're telling them 5-day duration is okay?
It's the default. You can completely change it if need be. So I can come to the calendar Yeah. And in the setup, if you have something, whatever's in your contract, if your contract's going to say something specific, then you can always change it if need be. If there's a rush or what have you. Reference. Yeah. So you can do CSI codes. The CSI codes are read off of whatever your company has if you want to attach something there. Throughout the site, this is a browser again. So since it's a cloud database, the database has no clue that I've typed or changed something in this browser. So that's why we have buttons. If you do change something up here, you have to hit update. If you see a flash, we've automatically sent that back to the database. But just know, especially sometimes in daily logs, a super will be doing it on their mobile, and then they'll walk away, and then they'll come back and it's gone. Because we log everyone out in 75 minutes for security reasons. Then they come back and say, hey, you just wiped out my stuff. It's because you never asked the database to be updated with whatever you input. So just be aware of that. If you're going to, yeah, yep. When it's first created, this actually says save, and then if you reopen it up, it'll say update. All right, so continuing down, so that's the upper region. Coming down, we have an answer box, which I'll explain here in a second. Users, exact same thing that we saw in the issues. You can hit the blue plus, or you can remove people by hitting one of those two. The discussion section is here to replying, track all that. And then we have the drag and drop. So you can see it's a very similar layout, no matter what. So I'll drag and drop something in here.
Well, the reply, that's only usable by the architect if they're using the same program we are.
They'll receive an email and they can answer from the email. And I'm going to bring one up just to show you what they get so you can see how that happens. Yeah. All right. So Brian, did you answer that? Okay. So since I've been on this, I didn't refresh it since Brian has been here. Now that it did refresh, it probably brought in that discussion. So you noticed before the discussion was blank. Since I refreshed it, if I hit update, it would have already brought in what Brian put. But you can see Brian said on this date, here, answer. The reason why the replying discussion is important is because just because the architect has answered it doesn't mean that it's going to close it out. You can say that's not the answer, and you can hit this send reply. I highly recommend doing this versus calling, emailing outside the system, because again, if you think a year down the road, it's very obvious what you're doing today, but even a week from now, you'll be like, oh shit, why did I say that? So I would always recommend hit and reply, because it's going to say who said what at what date and what was said. So, and whenever that happens, all the CC users, as well as Brian's, going to receive another email allowing them to update their answer. So it could be asking for a clarification. It could be, you know, whatever it is. I would always put into this reply and discussion section there.
So right now, the only people we can see are
The only people you can see are within your company and or in your address book. And so I'll show you that right now. So I'm going to hit this blue plus here. So there are going to be three things here. Here are your project members. So anyone that's already been put on your project, you're going to be able to CC. If you hit the drop down, you'll see there's an organization members. Those are Savant people. And then there's a user group. So if you hit on user group, that's going to pull up your address book. I don't know how many people you have in the address book right now, but it's going to list however many people those are and allow you to pick any of the vendors that you have. So one of the questions earlier was, if they aren't a project member, can I make them a project member? The answer is yes, through CC and RFIs, submittals, meeting minutes, anything like that. If you go to the user groups address book and select someone that's not a project member, it will make them a project member. Okay? Yeah, as long as they're part of that.
Send this out to people, are they actually going to receive a document? Or?
I will show you. Yeah, it's going to be links and a link with a document. Yep. So you can see here at user group, address book, and so now I can pick from any of these people. You select the checkbox.
So that user group is set up when the project is set up.
This user group of address book is organizational level. So all Savant vendors or subcontractors in this drop down that are in your database. If you want people that are just on your job, it defaults to being right here project members. That's the first one that comes up. So these are only people that are on your job.
So each job, somebody's gonna input all of the people that are that job specific.
Yeah, and you're just like exhibition.
Yep. It is recommended that there is a central location to add companies. The reason being is you don't want to make, they're going to need a vendor code eventually anyway if you plan on paying this person at any time. So typically accounting are the people who input these people into the system, just for consistency. That makes sense for the CC users and adding people and all that good
So
stuff?
there's no way to manually enter an email address. I don't want to send an email to an architect, but copy a couple of consultants that aren't in our system. I could not do that.
Right.
It has to be added.
It has to be added. Once they're added once, they'll be there forever. But yeah, if you've never utilized them before, they're not. You don't have to add them. That's a good point too. So there are two different. There's a user and a contact in our system. So to not get too deep, contacts can't receive emails. Users can. So users are users of the system, just as the name implies that they can use the system. They'll get emails. They can click on links, they can get in and things, where contacts are just people you might want to list that you know they'll never come again to the meeting or something like that, so you don't want them to get emails about them. We have set up a specific role for these type of people. So you can create users out of everybody and assign them a specific role called external, which only allows them to see the documents. So they won't be able to get in and see anything else. Okay. All right, so going back to the RFI, we have discussion questions here. We've gone back and forth. You can pick one of many. Did you re-up? Did you send another one or no? You had then. I just need to update it. Go back to 3.
So they have a further meeting that.
Okay. Reason why I'm going to wait for Brian is because I want 3 discussions. And the reason I want to show you that is because you can click multiples or you can click singular. While he's answering, if I just like one of the answers that are here, I just can click on answer, and that's going to close the RFI, post it in the answer box, whatever you do. If there are 3 or more or 2 or more, you can select which ones you want to select, then hit mark as selected. And that will bring both of these answers into there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now what you'll see is after I hit mark selected as the answer, that's going to refresh the RFI. It's going to close it, put the date that it was closed, fill in the answer box with those 2 things, and then everyone that's part of the CC or the 2 will receive an email. So that's the full life cycle of an RFI. I'm going to open up my Gmail so I can show you what architects or anyone that's really CC'd will receive. So, all right, so this is what your architect or whoever's in the 2 box for the RFI will get. What project you're in, this is my demo, that's why it doesn't say that, but this is the project name, the project number, that it's a new RFI, what number that is, and then the subject. So then it'll say, Mr. or Mrs. Architect, you've received this from this specific person, which would be the from box in there, and then they have these 3 links. So to explain this, I'll go through each one. This is to view and reply. This will open up for the architect in their default browser a tab for them to answer the RFI from the email. I happen to be in Gmail, but if they use Outlook, then it'll open up in Outlook. This download does exactly that. So I'll click that now, and you'll see that it'll start downloading at the bottom portion there. So this is your RFI. This one already has been answered. That's why it shows you the replies. And then the last link down here is if, and it doesn't sound like you guys will need this, but if your RFP specifically says you need a secure login, I can hide the view and reply and make them log into the system. Majority of the time though, the architect's going to want to just hit view and reply, and you'll see this will pop up in the default browser. And this is how Brian answered that RFI for me.
Well, I got it. set it up so we put the site, we'll put the small kennel with each one of the site
I received it. Okay.
package. I mean, more of these.
So here's where it is. They can add an attachment. They can put a reply in here. And then they just hit post reply, and that sends that answer back to everyone that's involved. So that's what Brian's done in order to create that discussion that was down in the peers. And that's what whoever's in the 2 box would do to log something down here in the discussion portion.
Track and date, response on this date. There's nothing you have to manually go.
No.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to the report next. I just want to show you, this one is the one where I marked the 2 things. You can see it automatically change the status as closed, put the date in there that it was closed. Answer box, now you can see it pulled verbatim whatever those people had written, so you don't need to worry about fat fingering anything. And then it marks which ones you selected as the answer here. Okay? Throughout the site here in the print reports, you'll have print with attachments, and then reports. This print is going to print whatever I'm on. So if I hit print, it's going to print this one RFI, number 3 for me. They're all crystal reports. They're generated in the system, so you'll see this refresh and pop up a crystal report. Reports button will bring me to the reports section. I don't know if you recall there being a reports section in here. I don't have access to go.
It doesn't pull, right? Doesn't it say oops every time?
It shouldn't say oops every time.
We tried, that's what problem we were having.
So I'll have to check the,
Log.
yeah.
It was your dailies or something like that you're trying to do, or.
It was RFI log, yeah.
I'll check that out. I'll probably have to log back in because I answered that other RFI out of the system. Is it 0 p.m.? So this is what the login looks like. Where you log into the site. So the report shouldn't do this.
Okay, yes.
There are two reasons why it would do that. Number 1 is you don't have permission to go in there. And then number 2 is that, as I had done, I answered an RFI in a different project as a different person. So it logged me this one and then I did.
Yeah, I think I did that too. I usually do give people a folder for the reports.
Yep. So what that link does, it should take you to this reports section here. If you go to the reports, again, the reports section are going to be your logs. So I'm going to go to the RFIs. There are a couple options that this will give you. Portrait will be less information. Landscape will always be more because you have more horizontal. You can just select a specific status that you want. Responsible people, what folders, you only have one, so don't sweat it. And then you can choose whether you want to show overdue, number of days overdue, how long it's been with the reviewer, and then you can show actually the answer and the replies within the log as well. These last 2 become a really long log, but it's good internally. Typically, if you're going to send this out to an architect, you don't need to show them every reply and every answer. You just want to show them that. But I'm going to click on and just show you the differences. So if I hit print, that's now going to print however I filter this, that specific log. So here you can see here are the 2 replies that we had, and then there's the answer for RFI number 3. You can see it's a little bit big, but this is the date it went out, the date it should have come back, the first date it came back, like the first answer from the architect, and then when you actually close. Those could obviously be different because they may answer something that doesn't close the RFI. Therefore, they could be different. So that's one look. Close that. And then I'll take out these last 2, and it's just going to be a one-line deal versus having all the replies and answers. Yeah. So now the replies and the answers aren't shown anymore. So this would be more of a standard type of look that you'd be used to. All All right, and at the very end, I'm going to show you something called email scheduler. What that means is anything in your reports here, your RFI log, your submittal log, if you want to send that out to your architect the day before your meeting, you can select to send them only the ones that are for review, whether they're RFIs or submittals, so they receive that log the day before. You don't need to do anything. The system will automatically email that log out to them. I'll show you how to set those up at the very end. All right, so RFIs, everybody understand it? Makes sense? All right, cool. All right, submittals. Going into submittals, just so you know where they are, you're not going to need to do them. So this is just to view what the status is, and I'm just going to quickly go through the process, but at least you'll be able to understand if you wanted to see the current status, how to find that and what that is. So you can have one-to-many packages. We're going to go through that tomorrow, whether you want one or multiple. Right now, one of the jobs that we're looking at had like 43 items. If you look at open items, these are ones that haven't been closed out, meaning that they haven't been approved. Either they're still revised and resubmit, or you just haven't sent them approval. So if you want to quickly know how many things are still left open in submittals, that would be the number. To see the items within the package, you click on the package that you're trying to figure it out. You can see here are the three things. This will tell you what status it's in for approval, what the next stage is, it's been created, and what you need to do next and submit it for review. If it's complete, I'm going to go through and I'll just answer a couple of these internally, and I'll show you what the emails look like just so you know from the architect's standpoint.
I can't watch.
Again, don't worry about this. You don't need to answer these. These will be done for you. I'm just going to show you the different looks. I'm going to say the first one was approved. Let's say this one's approved as noted, and then the last one will be revise and resubmit.
We're not listening.
All right, so now if I save and close, it will update those statuses on those three items. So you can see now they're a little bit different, and this is what the architect would be doing for yourself. The advantage of this is obviously you're not having to double input whether you guys are doing this or not. The whole point is to record who does what, when they do it, and what was done. So again, here's approved, approves, notes, revise, and resubmit. So if we went out, you would see there's only one open item because this one, the revise and resubmit, still is the only one. The other ones are completed because they've been approved or approved as noted. One last thing to show you, just again, while you're looking so you understand what it'll look like. If you do have a revise and resubmit, you can see this is the same item number, but revision number 1, and it's out for approval. So if you have a long list of things, you can search for only the ones that are revision 1 or only the things that are for approval if you wanted to hide the rest of them and just see what's for approval within this package. So this is where you would go to look at those items. Very similar to everywhere else, at the bottom of this, there's a drag and drop. So this will be holding the whole history of what was sent for review, what came back from review, the stamped and marked up stuff. All that'll be here for you to either download or take a look at if you want to. But it's all captured in this one package. We also have the transmittals, which will show you when things went out to the architect, when the architect sent them back to you. So this will be a log of all the transmissions of this specific package back and forth. So again, the submittals portion is just here for you to understand where they're at. I'll go back to the submittal report so you can see this is just another way to look at it. We have 2 reports in submittals, a packages and a detail. I typically always use the detail. Yeah, question.
I was gonna ask, Brian, just on like the orders, for instance.
Yeah.
Can we have sub and parents their contact in there rather than trying to save it?
Well,
You know
and
what I'm saying?
well, you will be able to. We haven't been able to yet, but there's something we have to set or you will be able to, you know. And if your work order applies to multiple subs, you can put the one CC everybody. But just make sure when you put in your description, list the subs in there as well. And then your description, yeah.
The scopes and
Full
yeah.
pricing or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
All right, so this is going to be your submittal log. Same type of thing if you only want to see ones that are out for approval or all. There are a lot of things you can do is mark which ones are overdue, open, blah, blah, blah. And then once I hit print, that will give me the one package I have. Obviously, if you have multiples, it'll show multiples. But here's what it looks like. Package name, the item, if there's a revision. I didn't send anything out. So if it went out, when it was due back, when it came back, and then when it was or was not returned to the sub. So we have that would be your submitted log. And again, this is under reports, and that is the submittal detail. Package will just be a listing of the packages without the items within it. So again, reports, submittal report. Any questions on that? All righty, moving on. Meeting minutes.
Reports, and then meeting minutes, because then we'll let the supers go out there.
You got it. So daily reports, they're called daily logs over here. There's one folder you can rename. Anything that you might want to rename if you don't like the name of the folder that comes when it's set up. If you hit edit, you can change the name of the folder. Some people might want multiple folders. So if you have the PM and the super both want to do their own dailies, or if you want to do a morning and an afternoon and put them in their own, same thing. Create a new folder, call it whatever you want, and then you just house those specific daily logs in there. So I click on daily logs. This is going to be, I can see I have one item within this one.
They don't have telephones.
So this will be a long listing of every day that you have. I'm going to create a new one, and then just know that we can also duplicate one. So I'll do it both ways, just so everyone knows. So create a new one from scratch. You hit new report. You all can go in there and create your own reports right now if you want. Same as everywhere else, you're going to just put the upper information in first, and then hit update, and that will save it. All right. So if you're using the mobile app, it's going to fill you in automatically. The weather here that's pulled in is pulled in off of the zip code from the project. So, you know, if you have to be doing these from home, don't worry, it's going to be saying where the project is, not your house. Comments, these are all, yeah. You don't have to fill these in. Just remember that the more you put in now, the better it is later. So I would highly suggest, even if nothing's happening, just put nothing happened today. So when I hit save, that's going to save the upper portion, then allow me or give me the opportunity to fill in who was out on site, as well as add pictures or, you know, any type of an attachment that I might want to do. Once you hit save, it's at the very bottom. So if I come back in here and go down to the bottom, here's that drag and drop area up here. So you can drag and drop whatever you want. If you're using mobile, and I'll show you, I'll bring this up on the screen. It'll just be an add button for you to add those to it. They can browse their documents as well, browse the files. Yeah, it'll pop up. Yeah.
Then you got to go back into the same one and scroll down.
Yeah.
To out on.
Yeah. And then what I did is I added activity, and we're going to do a duplication next, just so, since typically day-to-day things don't dramatically change. I'm just going to add 2 people to this specific job site. So add new activity. It's only going to, the drop down is only going to put the project members that are there. So since I only have Savant people on this job, that's the only company I can pick. We sat around the table, and there is 7 of us for 3 hours.
On the mobile app, is there like a voice command?
You can voice to text if you're.
Oh, you can. Look
Yeah.
at that. 20 minutes. Mahoney, that voice command.
In any of the fields, you can voice to text in there. And then we even have some bilingual people voice to text in there. Yeah. So you can see I can do one to many people. This logs people that were out there. I'll drag and drop a couple things from my computer here. Find my files. Drag them over. There we go. Then you hit upload. I'm going to show you on the mobile. It's the same amount of steps for everything. The RFI or the daily logs. It's just a different layout. And so that's it. That's your daily log here that you've done for that day. If you want to print it out, take a look at it, you can hit print. If you hit print with attachments, that's going to make each picture its own page. Print item will make the pictures thumbnails at the bottom. You'll see here. So I just hit print item. So here are the notes, who was out on site, how many people that one company had, then total site, and then the thumbnail at the bottom there of the pictures that included.
Is the report button work on this?
Yeah. So the question was reports, and I'll go to that after I duplicate really quick. So there.
Well, what I'd like to find out once a week, and then if there, let's say there's an accident, upload those pictures, you know, specific things that need to be, great. Otherwise. So guys, the question was, do we need to upload photos daily? If there's something, you know, if there's an accident or, you know, something specific that needs to be documented, take a photo and upload it. Otherwise, just upload photos on Fridays of your weekly progress.
All right, so I'm going to show you how to duplicate. Like if we did Monday and we're on Tuesday, you just check which one you want to duplicate, and then you hit copy. On the mobile app, it says duplicate. If I hit copy, that's going to copy over all the people and the pictures that were there. So then you just have to go back and either edit or delete them from the day that you've created.
So it doesn't automatically start working, or you have to create one every time you go to create a new one? Is that what you're saying?
Like
When you're saying 1, 2, 3, what do you mean?
Well, meaning your daily logs, Monday was one, you don't just create a whole new one each time.
If you don't want.
You're saying if you don't want to start from fresh?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see that one, well, I selected one that we didn't do. I have 4 Mondays. So, well, you get it. If I copy it, then it copies everything from that. The weather will be from the new day that it was created. Yep. Copy the weather. Everything else will be copied over.
Obviously, it changes the date and everything else. It's
Yes,
just taking
that's
the
correct.
meat and potato information.
Yes, sir. That's right. All right. So one thing I wanted to cover was reports. So there's 2 ways here. If you want to print out, let's say this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday type thing, you can come from this screen and go to print, and it's going to print each one of those as individual printouts. So I'm going to have 3 pages of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's one way, and it's going to bind them all into one PDF. So when this pops up, it'll be 3 separate days within this one PDF. So that's one way to do it. There's 1 day, there's 2 days, and there's 3 days. The other way is by clicking on reports, and remember, if we go to reports, that's going to make a log. It's a different printout. That actually printouts the actual daily log. This is a different printout. You'll see I'm just going to print out all 5. So if I hit print here, it's just a summation of the day. It's not going to do all your pictures unless you ask it to. It's just going to tell me what I said, what the weather was, who the people were out on site. So it's a much more concise report. These are all crystal reports, so they can always be changed if need be, if you want to make attachments. But that's the difference between the reports and the dailies, and just to show you how you can make a report from the daily. Okay. Well, before you let them go, you want me to show the mobile before I go to some?
I was going to say mobile questions, and then we'll break for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to have to repeat my iPad on my.
We'll go get a smoke there.
I just want them to delete that.
Yeah.
Can you go back into an old report and modify?
Yes, you can edit them, yes.
Oh. So that's what you gotta do.
Are we still iOS only? Or do we have the Droid app available as well now?
The Droid is behind it. The Droid is only has daily login documents. I forgot where it was. This one. Who? Oh, this one. I'm just logging in to the.
So does it, when you go back into an old one and you edit it, does it show that it was edited on that date or?
No. So if you want to do that, I would create a whole new one just so you have the history of the first one. Like if it started raining in the afternoon, I'd have a morning one, then create a second one to log that it was raining at the.
He wants to see when.
All right, so I just logged in to the mobile app. Same type of thing. It's going to show you the projects that you're a part of over here. So I'm going to go into that Magnolia and Adams project. So we have RFI, punch list dailies, and then the plans. So since we just got off the dailies, I'm going to go in there. Here's the daily logs folder. You can see we have the whole bunch of Mondays that we just looked at. So if I wanted to look at one, you click on it and you can see it's the same stuff. It's just horizontal versus vertical, right? In the web page, I just scroll down here. This is the upper portion, the weather and my stuff. If I hit on attachments, these are my pictures. So I'll take a picture of you guys in here. So here's add, click on take a photo. And I can take a photo of you guys and that would be part of that daily log. So you can take 1 to 1 million photos and I'll just update it. The activities tab here, there is just logging who's out on site. So upper right corner, you want to add someone new to the site, you can click on add. And then the add things, what organization, again, we only have Savant because that's the only people we have on the job. What did they do? Where? How many people? 1, 8, save. And now I have 2 entries for that one. Okay?
So we have to do that for every subcontractor?
Yes. Every subcontractor. And then if you duplicate, every subcontractor will be there the next day, and then you can just delete them or edit the amount of people they had. So you don't have to re-enter. Yes, there will. Probably early 19. So the next one's going to be issues. We're going to have read and write issues in here. And then it's going to be meeting minutes, and submittals will be read only, not creation. Yeah. So that'll be, then I think we're pretty much going to be done with that app at that point for a bit. All right, so you see this little duplicate thing here. So let's say this was we had Monday through whatever days this would be. If I'm on Tuesday and I want to copy Mondays, I click on that one and hit duplicate. And it's going to bring up the next day, time of day. I can change any of this information I want to change. And then in the far right, I hit save. And it's going to add yet another Monday. And then I can go into that Monday and add the attachments. So this attachments will be blank because now I can take pictures for that specific day, right? So that's how you duplicate from one to another. All right. And then the activities, there are the 2 activities. If I wanted to take someone out, I can edit that. Say they only really worked 6 hours that day. So then you can edit those. Okay. Going back down here, I want to go back to the project. I click down here, projects. RFIs. RFI entry is the same. Here's the folder, Savant RFIs. If I want to create a new one, right here is where you create a new one. New RFI. Then it's the same entry. Who's it to? What's the subject? And then you can scroll down. There's all the other fields, the question. And then when I hit save, it's going to take the next RFI number, which was 5. And then you can go back in there and add pictures if you want to. It looks very similar to the daily logs. If I want to make an attachment, take a picture for that specific RFI. Then I can take a picture. I must have touched my iPad. that. Turn it off instead of doing the other thing. So you take pictures, add them to that specific RFI. So going back to the RFIs. You can add discussions just like we did to that specific one here. So if I wanted to add a discussion, say, no, thanks, hit save, that'll be a reply that goes to the RFI just like we had prior.
How did you take a photo from the RFI line?
So if I click on attachments here, and then click on add, it'll be the same thing for daily log.
So you have to generate the RFI first.
Generate the RFI first.
Save it and then add the photo.
Yep, there you go. And then I can use that photo. And it's on that RFI. What's that?
Can you choose from file?
You can you choose from? Yes, choose from library.
Yeah.
See right here.
Got it.
What about drawings? We have drawings uploaded, we pull up the plan page, pull it up.
So here we go. So if we use the documents, right now we're not using documents. You guys are using something else at this point. Yeah. I just went and put a couple drawings on this job just so you could see what they look like. So they're thumbnails of it. If I want to look at A01, it'll pull up. The Wi-Fi isn't acting all that quick, but it'll eventually pull up if need be. If you want to create an RFI from this, you long hold on it, and create an RFI. Do that here. So you can't see up there, but I'm holding down on it. You can see it says document details, create an RFI, create punch list, or delete the file. If I hit on create RFI, it's going to say where do you want to put it. I want to put it in that folder, and then I'm clicking this upper one to create the new RFI. Yep. And so now it's going to pull up that same screen, but you'll see here in reference in drawing, it's in there already. But I'm just going to hit save here. Let me put a subject.
So is it actually going to attach that page?
Yeah, I'm going to go on the web and show you that it attached the page. So I just hit save, goes back to the drawings, but now if I come to the actual web, I'm going to have to drag my replicator over. So if I come back to the RFI section in here, I go to that folder, and I go to that last one from mobile. Here it is. Here are the drawings. And if I scroll down to the bottom, the drawing that I generated it from is attached right there. Okay? Yep. And then, you know, if you take pictures, they'll just be appended to those while using that. But you'll see that one reply is also in here. It will populate in here, and then vice versa. If I just put a discussion on this side, it'll populate on the other side. So
Also, like, open up a phone on my iPad, screenshot it, and attach that as well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the architect, when he gets it, you can redline it, reattach it, send it back with his response.
Architect can download it and do whatever they want to do with it. Yeah. And then in that window, they can drag and drop under the save attachment. So, might take a little bit because you're just starting to download all of them. But yeah, got it. All right, so take a break.
Don't close the app, it logs you out every time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there a way that doesn't happen?
What's that?
When you hit the home button of your screen and you close out the app, it logs you out every time?
There should be stay logged in or something like that.
I have that.
Yeah, we just updated this last week, so there might be a couple little things that they need to reprogram.
All right, so Superintendent, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and unmute phones, and you can ask now.
9 more minutes.
If not, then you guys are free to go. We're going to continue on with meeting minutes, which you guys don't have to be here for.
Okay.
General application. Pollution discharge notes. All that's coming. Okay.
Oh, he's doing work orders.
Yeah, looks like we're all good.
Well, he can figure out his own meeting minutes then.
All right, so we're going to go to meeting minutes, which would be the last thing in the project management here. Click on that. So I just heard there are a couple different ways that you may or may not do these meeting minutes, so I'll cover them both just to kind of go through best practices. But no matter what, your meeting minutes will be under the meeting minutes folder. Meetings, just so you know, agendas and meetings are similar. It's just some companies use them, some companies don't. So we're just going to be using meetings. To create a new one, if you don't have any, you click the create meeting minute, which I'm going to do here just to start from scratch. And that's going to bring up the header information. So what's the meeting number? You can call it whatever you want, OAC.
So it won't automatically do it each week. You have to actually number them every single time you do it.
Right. So what we have in one of the feature requests is to create a prefix and then having the suffix, the ending portion of it be numerical. But like I put OAC 01, a lot of people use alphanumeric things, and so we weren't able to automatically itemize or integer the next meeting. It's a really long way of saying no, but it's in the working.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just
I was explaining why we don't.
Or a daily log. I'm not understanding why each time it comes to the week where you just punch it in and it creates number two.
RFI it does.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. I'm just curious why if they will do it, why won't this do it?
That's the reason, because daily log goes off of the date. You can have 3 Mondays, and it's not going to say Monday 1, Monday 2, and 1, 3. So say 3 Mondays. And RFI is a contractual thing, and so we have to make sure it has a unique number associated with it. So you can't duplicate it.
You can copy the minutes though.
You can copy
And then
minutes.
edit them.
Yes, that's true. Yep. So we'll go through all that. I'm just setting this up from the very beginning. So we start at 12. It's 2. I'll say it's going to be end time at 2. Location is in the office. These you can change if need be, and I'm just going to hit save. When I hit save, that's going to save the upper portion of the meeting. And then this is where you're going to start your new meeting minutes. So very similar to CC users, if you want to add attendees, you hit the blue plus. That's going to bring up your project members. You can also look at your address book like we had seen previously, right? So I can, I won't add everybody because that's quite a few people. So I'll add the first 3 people to this meeting. Close and add. And then I'll refresh the 0 to 3 here in a second. So then meeting minutes. So these would be, there's 2 different ways. What was the gentleman's name that came in?
Brian.
So Brian, another one. He runs 1 minute per meeting. So every meeting will have 1 item that all the minutes are taken within. Some people use minutes as individual items to speak about within each meeting. So if you're talking about safety, schedule, and finances, you can do 1 minute to have all 3 of those comments, or you can do 3 minutes within that 1 meeting to individually talk about them. So it doesn't matter which way you go. To create a new minute, you hit create minute, and that's going to bring up the entry form for that specific minute. So here, it will start off with 001. Again, some people put S0 for talk about structural. So if you don't change it, it will be numerical, and it will go to 2, 3, 4, as you'll see here in a second. So this is, we'll talk about safety first. It starts off at new business. If we copy one meeting minute to the next, new changes to old automatically. Selecting a category, these can also be changed at the company level and the project level. So if there's something that you want to categorize differently within the meeting minute, just let us know and we can add that to here as well. So this one is about safety, so I'm going to make it a safety category. Due dates, you can assign them if you want to. Date originated is when it was created. And we'll go through the complete and hidden here in a second. So I'm going to say talking about safety. 2018-09-17, no injuries. All right. So that's my first meeting minute. You'll see throughout the site there's typically a save, save and new, save and copy. Yeah. Yeah. And so if I hit save, it's going to save this minute and bring me back out. If I hit save and new, which I'll do now, it'll save number 1 and make number 2, but it'll make it blank. So then I have the opportunity to create a whole different type minute. So you can see it's number 2. This one will be about schedule. And again, this is not how you have to do it. You can make 1 minute for everything. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to say
The one you had on site today, Matt, what was that? Was that 1 minute or was that numerous minutes?
Say that again, I'm sorry?
The copy of the one you had today, which started off at, I don't know, RFIs, then whatever, then whatever.
It was a number of minutes that we created.
It was a number of minutes, it wasn't 1 minute?
Well, it's one meeting minutes, but it's like,
No, I understand it was different things, but he's saying there's 2 ways to put them together. One is having numerous minutes and one is having a single minute, which.
Right, so Brian James sounds like just had 1 minute and
Yeah.
all of his subcategories in that
Oh,
same.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to like schedule would be 1 minute, then R5.
That's the song used to do.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
What is Brian?
that's not normal.
one. That's wow. I'm sure.
Brian's
Poorly designed.
Brian's doing it wrong, Mom.
It's easier to do 1
So,
minute and
when
just
you
type everything
go-
in there. That's
Minute 1 would be scheduled, then you would click it again and you
CORs.
bring down another thing,
Yeah.
CORs, and that would create 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Doing your minutes
You-
wrong, Brian.
Are you doing
No,
1 minute
I'm-
because it's easier or?
No, I'm adding, there's multiple meetings in here, so there's up to 10. I'm up
You
to
just edited it real
But
quick,
each
so-
meeting is a minute,
Right.
not each.
Each category
yeah.
is a minute.
Each category should be
Right,
its own
right.
separate minute.
Which it is.
And
Right.
does the drop down have all the categories that we would need, or are we?
Not all
we
of them.
actually
You
add
can
it?
add them if you
Yeah,
want.
you can add
That's
them.
customizable. Yeah, so that's your general.
Yeah, so I got one for site. It's
Shell
all on
issues,
there.
safety.
So I got up to 5 minutes and I got up to 10 items into one meeting.
Yeah, you're doing it.
That's on
Yeah. Brian's legit.
But you guys all like to review this? I just want to make sure, because I think you thought I had it the other way.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
No, I got this one.
right on. Okay, so the last button, save and copy, you'll see when I hit this, it's going to make meeting minute number 3 and then copy everything I have done. So if you have something very similar, you'd use that. But now it's number 3. It says a copy of the schedule. This time I'll do pay apps. And then
Is there a drop down for that, for the categories, or you just put it, you make your own category every time?
the type here in categories you can completely customize. It's a drop down because this is what has been created for this job, but you can make your own categories. What we'll go through tomorrow with Tina and Brian is organizational level, what you want. If there's something specific to your project that you want to add, just call Tina or someone else and they'll add it. I'm sorry for calling you out. Tina.
No.
Is that pretty much the way it goes here?
Yeah, well, that's good enough.
If there was like a default to the drop down that we kind of all followed the same
Well, but
thing
you
for
could
the
in the
minutes
title,
each
I agree.
time.
in the title of the minute, you could put financial, and in the subcategory, you can put.
Pay
Like some of them, I'll keep it general. And
Yeah.
I'll put a
Yeah,
one or
in the
two.
subcategory.
Yep.
But we'll call Tina and make her customize it.
Look at that, you're not lazy.
I'm not totally for it.
All right, so then I'd put, let's see, 2018-09-17, pay up, review. All right, so now I just made 3 minutes here. Scrolling down, just so you know, within each minute you can put multiple responsible parties, the exact same as CC. This is just someone that you want to notify that they're responsible for doing whatever you're talking about. And then you can drag and drop. So if you're talking about your 2-week look ahead, you can put that on so you have a copy of it each time.
This is the one, by the way, that would be most beneficial to be able to just add.
You can.
Yes.
So same
Well,
thing,
but
responsible,
only if they're in the address book.
only if they're in the address
Yeah,
book, yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
You mean on the fly, yeah.
Yeah.
We have random people that come to
Because,
meetings
yeah,
and
I know.
document that they're there,
Yeah.
and it's impossible to do that unless they're already in the system.
True.
Make a note of it.
I
So
just
what
felt
would
it was
happen is
a
there's a
problem.
category called notes before meeting or notes
This
after
is
meeting.
it?
Yeah,
I
so
said,
that
I
you
just
list
thought you
them.
had that.
But it's not as formalized as.
Correct.
It's the same thing as we did the other day. We just
I
kind of
just
put
put
it
'em in
as
the
notes. But it would be nice, but when it comes time to distribute, we can't distribute to that person.
Correct.
Well,
Well, technically speaking, right now, we can't distribute to anybody, but.
We just, yeah, we say it.
Because they're not
Because-
users.
Yeah, because they're not users.
How soon before we can distribute it right off of,
I don't know. Well, we're gonna talk about that tomorrow, because we just came up with a way to, or learned of a way to add people without them having access to
Complete
anything.
access. Okay.
So that they can just view the emails and the documents that we send them. It's just a matter of converting contacts to users and that process.
That'd be nice for RFIs like that.
But that's what I'm saying, so
Respond back to
eventually the
all
guys
email.
won't have to print them, scan them,
Correct.
attach them and send
Correct.
them, because right now there was,
They'll
like
click.
earlier you were talking that the architect would actually, it's like a live form you're sending the architect, so the architect can write right on it. Right now, what we're getting is pencil writing on
Yeah.
PDF that we're sending to the architect, and he's writing in pencil on
Yeah,
it,
this
and
would be.
then scanning them back in and sending them to
why are they
us.
scanning and not just emailing from a PDF file?
Yeah, they
That's
should
what
be,
you should
they should be printing to Adobe PDF, like you
Okay.
know.
Yeah, that's what-
Yeah, right.
That's what they should be doing.
Right, some of them are, you're right, some of them,
Yeah.
some of them it comes back in, I would say in typing, and some of them it comes back in handwriting, so.
Yeah, it's- it's structural engineering.
Right, structural engineering.
I mailed them the RFI 3 days ago.
Yeah.
All right, so if I hit update or save, it brings me back out to the meeting, and then you can see the 3 minutes that are held within there. Okay?
Can you open that so I can see what it looks like when you open the whole form? Is there a way of
Printing it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you go to print here, if you have attachments here, you can print with the attachment. It's gonna hit print. And that will open up that crystal report for this, so
Only PDFs.
only PDFs will
Will
be
send.
bound, it will be bound to that, yes.
That's, I didn't realize.
So this is what it looks like. Here are the 3 attendees, here are the 3 minutes.
Now, you said attachments, would that be like a submittal log in there, within that, or just a
Mhm.
separate?
I would attach it to the item that you're talking about, yeah. Now, if it's a submittal log or RFI, I would put that at the meeting. Here, hold on, let me get rid of this bad boy. So if it's an overall log or something like that, I would put that at the meeting level here. So your log and the RFI log that you talked about are at the meeting. And then if you're talking about a specific schedule thing or a picture for safety, I would attach that to the item. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can see there's attachments which would attach anything this outside to that. So it'd be your RFI and submittal log. And then if you do it with the items, that'll go inside the items and it also attach those too. This can get beefy, as you can imagine, if you have like 100 by the end of the job with a bunch of different photos. So just be aware of that. All right, so we have our meeting minutes here. I'm gonna go back out one level and show you, all right, so last week is done. I'm preparing for either tomorrow or today. So I did OAC number 1 in here. To explain this, send email. We'll send an email to all the attendees and give them a link to look at it. A copy is what I'm gonna do here in a second. And so if I click copy, that's gonna copy everything within OAC number 1 and do the next minute. I'll need to go in there and edit it. I have heard, and we are working on a way to automatically increment this, but you will need to change the meeting minute number. So I'm going to make this 2. Then, you know, it can be a copy and all this. And then you hit update. Now bring me back out. So now I'm ready to have my meeting. So I'll just run through this and kind of show you how it the most efficient way, I would think. So we sit down at a table, we're talking about number 1. I click on number 1. I put in the next date. So here's the first date, and then I'm going down. This is if you're going to be doing continuation. So next week will be the 26th, and say someone hurt their feelings today. And then I hit next. If I hit next, that's going to save anything I have changed and take me to the next meeting minute.
Okay.
So I don't need to keep on going back out and switching to the next one.
Okay.
All right, so it'll save and then bring me to number 2. If I have hidden, here's this one I'll mark closed and hidden. It will skip over this one next time and go right to number 3. So if I hit next, it's going to save those 2 check marks. So if I actually hit previous, it'll go to number 1 and skip right over number 2. Okay. So we do have mark as complete and mark as hidden as both. When Brian came in, we were talking about why I thought he had, incorrectly, I thought that he had one large meeting minute for everything is because it sounded like he was making a copy of this and then hiding this one for the next week or trying to delete it actually. So what you can do, if you should need to do something like that, what I would suggest is hiding it. And then like I came down here, creating a copy of it. If you want to hold everything up to last week into that specific minute and then have the next minute include this week's, you could do it that way. You know, it's personal preference. I don't think that would be a requirement. I would just continue to go down and list the date and continue the meeting here. But yeah, there's always a bunch of different ways to do things. But that is how I do it, just by hitting the next and the previous, and then that's how things are saved. So going back out, so I said previous just to show you, it'll skip over number 2 and go to 1. So it went over to number 1 versus number 2 because I had it hidden. All right, so coming back down, so I want to get back. I went to all 3 of my meeting minutes, recorded. If I hit update, that takes me back to the meeting. I can print it out at that point if I want to do that and distribute it. I can also take a look here. So I have 3 things. If you see here, I can hide the minutes. So now it'll hide number 2, the one I've hidden, so I don't even see it on here. So you see, I only see 1 and 3. That's there. It's not deleted. It's there for history. But now if you just want to see which meeting minutes you're actually going to be covering, you can do that. And you can always come back and show them that way. The printout will also skip anything that's hidden. So if I hit print, it'll only print number 1 and number 3 since number 2 is hidden. So just know that if anything's hidden, it's not, you can or cannot show it here depending on which way you like to see it, but the printout will never show a hidden meeting minute. So I just have number 1 and number 3. As I mentioned, these go to old business when it's copied. So they were originally new business in meeting number 1. So when I made meeting number 2, anything new goes to old. And then you can always switch that type if you want to, you know, make them critical.
How do you close an issue or show an open issue?
So here's the complete up here. So you can see this one's completed. So some people like to show complete the following week and then hide it the 3rd week. So, you know, you get that history during the printout, but this would be, it's not complete. This is still open. That's how I would do it. Yeah.
So you actually have to hide the completed ones, you're saying eventually?
As you're covering them or you're reviewing your notes from it, yeah, you'll just want to check that hidden. Now you can also, you don't need to go through each meeting minute as well. If, let's say we had 15 of them and we wanted to hide 2 of them, you can just click these 2. And if I come back to home and I say hide minutes, it's going to change this hidden no to yes as well. So if I come here, that's another way. I don't need to go into each minute. I can select multiples and then hit hide, and then it'll hide that one so you can see 3's hidden now too. Does that make sense? So if you're creating meeting number 3 and 5 of them can be hidden, I can click on all 5, hit hide minute, and it'll hide all 5 of those without having to click on all 5 individually. All right, for distribution, you can come here and go into your reports, and that'll give you a transmittal. You can create a transmittal from here. So if I go into my meeting minutes report, it's going to be the same type of printout, but then I can transmit this, which will create a transmittal with the meeting minutes on the back. So if I hit print, this will show you what it's actually going to print out and attach to that transmittal.
I've done this before where it doesn't attach any document, it's just a transmittal. You don't know? Seen it?
In submittals, you have to click on which attachments you want to include with the transmittal. It's just not gonna take everything with it. And the reason being is because the first one would be for review, and then if the architect puts something marked up, you don't want to attach both to confuse folks.
Understood.
All right, so that's what will be sent out on that transmittal there. So let me click back here. So now if I would hit transmit, that'll create a transmittal with that meeting minute as an attachment to that transmittal. I don't have permission to create transmittals. If we might want to think about giving them permission to create transmittals then to distribute the meeting minutes.
Okay.
So we'll change that tomorrow or tonight, whatever. So that's how you can transmit those meeting minutes to whoever you want. They don't have to be attendees, by the way, in order to do that. On the transmittal, you can CC whoever you want at that point as well. Okay.
So will you guys have the ability to add new people to it at some point?
Yes.
So we'll be able to, well, just for instance, like the bank being at the meeting last week, and there was no way of adding them. So eventually we'll be able to call you guys and say, can we please add this, email address and this person to it? We'll have to just manually enter
If they
them.
need to be added, somebody like that, we wouldn't add as a user, but we could add as a contact if they're gonna be a consistent.
However, right.
If they're gonna be a consistent attendee, then I would say we should probably add them as a contact. If it's somebody that shows up,
Right,
once,
right.
no, we're just gonna put it in the notes.
And we could always print it, scan it, and send it to that one individual.
Well, it sounds like you can email it to anybody.
Email it to yourself and then forward it.
Anyone that's a
Right,
user.
Right,
That's it.
right.
Yeah.
So that would mean that we couldn't do that. But you're right, what Tina just said, we could email it to ourselves,
Oh,
then
yeah,
forward it to
of course.
that person.
Absolutely.
All right. Alrighty, so that is everything in the project management. We wanted to go over the cost management as well, just so you guys can see what that looks like. Estimate info, this would be your budget. To explain the columns here, you have your original budget, which was set up in 300. Any pending change orders, I wrote one in here just so you could see where it's at, but anything pending or approved would be in these two columns. Accounting approved comes from 300. The reason why we have both the approved and the accounting approved, this would be anything in SCPC. This would be in accounting just as a double check. So you could see that accounting has everything that SCPC has. And then your total estimate. In the cost code overview, this shows you your commitments that have been written against that cost code. And then it brings in any job to date cost from 300 as well. Clicking on the drop down here, this is going to give you the categories that are actually associated with that cost code as well. So here you have 4 of them associated with it, and you can see where your budget is and that you wrote your commitment against the wrong one, whatever. So that's the estimate portion of it. Then we can go to the contract side. So this would be the schedule of values, how you plan on getting paid. In this screen, something we've been implementing here, if you see this little cog with a save button, if you right click on any of the columns and go to columns, you can hide or show specific columns that you want to see. So if I want to hide something, I can unclick these and then save it, and it's per user. So if I come in and save this now and I click save, next time I come in, it'll look exactly the way I left it. Even if I filter things, those filters will be saved with it too, and it's per user. You can add them back in, so that's actually what I'm going to do because I don't want it to be gone. So again, you just right click on any of the fields, come down to the columns, it'll give you all your available fields.
Yeah. Because this reflects like our supervision and stuff like that.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Okay, so this would be your schedule of values again. So if you have a owner change order, those will be listed at the bottom. Same fields, except we bring in the total billed and retained against those line items as well. Going back. The next tab will be the commitment info. So these would be all of your purchase orders and or subcontracts. I just wrote one in here for cleaning. Sample number 1. Here, same fields, approved, pending, approved, how much you've invoiced, retained, and paid against that specific commitment. These 3 come from 300. if you want to go into that specific commitment, here are the 2 line items that are part of that commitment here. And then, you know, if there are specific change orders here that are going to increase or decrease those line items. You know, your scopes, all this junk is part of this. But you guys are probably going to be writing these in, what did you say, in 300, or are they going to be writing these?
They don't write any.
No, okay. All right, so that's commitment. So if you want to see all your commitments, one printout, and we're going to be adding another one here in a couple weeks, but this print summary will print all of your commitments with total values, and then we're going to have a print detail, which is going to print your commitments with all the change orders associated with them too. So if I had a bunch of commitments, it would just be a listing of all those with my overall.
You can't do it by the log, but you can do it by the summary in there.
Yeah, we added that last week because Brian kept on complaining.
Is that considered with the report? Is that the report that the committed contract?
That's the summary. It doesn't show the breakout, but it'll show
For now.
contract and then pending and approved, right? If I remember correctly.
Here for the detail, yes, it will show the pending and approved change, only in the change order status. So CORs and PCOs, it won't show. Only ones that are in the change order status, so pending and approved.
Oh, only change order status.
So when's our other report coming?
So
what?
For commitments though, I'll show you the cost event. You can do a commitment and show CORs or something.
Because you guys have it too. I guess we could discuss.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll just talk about it. All right, so those are your commitments. The summary info. Oh, I'm down one here. It's upper right. This is going to bring in the information that we just reviewed. So your contract, your schedule of values, just a different way to look at it. Original, any pending changes you approved, it's giving you your new total. Your total with pending and approved if you wanted to get that, and then your accounting approved. Your estimate would be your budget broken down into the categories. If you had actual costs, those would come in here. And then if you guys are going to utilize forecasting, that's coming in here as well. So that's the summary info. And then your change events. Contract, so it's affecting your schedule values and your budget. This would be a listing of all your contract change orders. We have PCO, CORs, COs, and RFPs. So I just did one PCO from an issue, to recall. So this actually has from issue number 1, just to show you what change orders look like. So if you had a 50 change orders, it'd just be a long listing there, but this is what it looks like when you get into there. So you can see which cost codes are associated with it. So this is subcontractor 1 with the cleaning. So that's that. And then the last thing in the cost would be the commitment events, which would be the commitment change orders. And I don't have any.
They're all checked out.
A couple more months, you guys are gonna be writing up your own.
Yes.
So just know, if you want to know where your money's at, look at cost management. Yeah. So that's it. Any specific questions? Documents. I know the energy levels are falling a little bit. So in documents, we're not sure if we're going to be using it or not. So I'm not going to go over it just to cloud other people, other things up. Just know it's a final repository for things, and you can access it through your mobile if need be. So if you want more help through that, just call support and they can help you out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good thing if we did have the estimators upload, okay, here's the bid set, okay, here's the construction set.
Yeah. And
then we can figure out how to do it, and like you said, slip sheets.
Well, is this tied to share file in some way?
Ours?
No, this system. Because I saw a link to counseling, you can link external accounts, and the only option was share file.
It used to be, yeah, we took that away because we're going to be doing Bluebeam.
I was going to say, if that was the case, we should probably consider starting using share file instead of Pantera, but maybe now we should start using Bluebeam.
I don't have a problem, but it's just the difficult